If you're a woman over 50 and you've been feeling like you're becoming invisible to the world, like your body is betraying you with dryness everywhere, and like you're losing connection with the people and passions that once brought you joy, I need you to know something right now. You are not broken, you are not too old, and you are definitely not alone. What you're experiencing has a name, it has causes, and most importantly, it has solutions. I'm going to spend the next hour and a half with you today, sharing everything I've learned about why this happens and exactly what you can do about it. My name is Sarah. I'm 52 years old, and 3 years ago I was exactly where you might be right now. So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's dive deep into something that affects millions of women but that no one talks about openly enough. Before we begin, I want you to take a moment and think about how you felt at 35 versus how you feel now. Not just physically, but emotionally, socially, spiritually. If you're like most women I talk to, there's been a shift that goes way beyond just getting older. It's like someone dimmed the lights on your entire life experience, and you're not quite sure when it happened or how to turn them back up. The truth is, what you're experiencing is a perfect storm of biological, psychological, and social changes that all converge around this time in a woman's life. The medical community calls it perimenopause and menopause, but the experience is so much more complex than just hot flashes and irregular periods. It's about feeling dry in every sense of the word, physically dry, emotionally dry, creatively dry. It's about feeling disconnected from your body, your partner, your friends, your purpose. And it's about feeling unseen in a world that seems to value youth above wisdom, productivity above presence. But here's what I wish someone had told me when I was struggling with this. These feelings are not a life sentence. They're not an inevitable part of aging that you just have to accept. They're signals from your body and your life that something needs attention, care, and intentional action. And when you understand what's really happening and why, you can take back control and create a life that feels vibrant, connected, and purposeful again. Hey, before we continue, let me ask you, have you liked and subscribed to the channel yet? No? Then take advantage now and click the subscribe button below. Oh, and leave a comment with what you think of this video and which city you're watching it from. Your participation is very important to us. It helps our channel grow and bring more content like this. I'm counting on you. Now, let's continue. Over the next 90 minutes, we're going to explore 3 main areas. First, the physical dimension, why your body is changing and what you can do about it. Second, the emotional and psychological dimension, why you might be feeling lost or disconnected from yourself. And third, the social dimension, why you feel invisible and how to reclaim your presence in the world. We'll end with a comprehensive action plan that you can start implementing today. I want to be clear about something from the start. I'm not a doctor, though I've worked with many excellent healthcare providers in my journey. I'm a woman who has walked this path, who has done extensive research, and who has connected with thousands of other women going through similar experiences. Everything I share today should complement, not replace, professional medical advice. But what I can offer you is the real, unfiltered truth about what this experience is like and what has actually worked for me and for the women in my community. The physical dimension, understanding the dry. Let's start with the physical symptoms, because this is often where we first notice that something is changing. When I say dry, I'm talking about so much more than just vaginal dryness, though that's certainly part of it. I'm talking about dry skin that seems to have appeared overnight, dry hair that won't hold moisture no matter what products you use, dry eyes that make you look tired even when you're well rested, and yes, vaginal dryness that can make intimacy uncomfortable or even painful. The root cause of most of this physical dryness is the dramatic decline in estrogen that happens during perimenopause and menopause. Estrogen is like the body's internal moisturizer. It helps maintain the health and hydration of our skin, our mucous membranes, our hair, our eyes, and our vaginal tissues. When estrogen levels drop, which can happen gradually over several years or more, suddenly depending on your individual situation, all of these tissues begin to thin and lose their ability to retain moisture. But here's what's fascinating and what most doctors don't take the time to explain properly. This isn't just about one hormone. Estrogen works in concert with progesterone, testosterone, thyroid hormones, and even cortisol. When this delicate orchestra gets out of tune, the effects ripple through every system in your body. Your sleep gets disrupted, which affects your stress hormones. Your stress hormones affect your thyroid. Your thyroid affects your metabolism and energy. Your energy affects your mood and motivation. It's all connected. Let me share some statistics that might help you understand how common this is. According to recent studies, up to 84% of women experience vaginal dryness during menopause, but only about 25% seek treatment for it. Why? Because we're embarrassed, because we think it's just part of getting older, or because we've been told by healthcare providers that there's nothing that can be done. This is simply not true. Similarly, about 60% of menopausal women report significant changes in their skin's moisture and elasticity, 70% experience dry eyes, and nearly 50% notice their hair becoming drier and more brittle. These aren't separate, unrelated problems. They're all manifestations of the same underlying hormonal changes. Now, let's talk about what you can do about the physical dryness. First, let's address vaginal dryness because this affects intimacy, comfort, and quality of life so significantly. You have several options, and you don't have to suffer in silence. Over-the-counter vaginal moisturizers like Repelins or Good Clean Love can be used regularly, not just during intimacy, to help maintain tissue health. These work differently from lubricants. Moisturizers are designed to be absorbed and provide ongoing hydration, while lubricants are used specifically during sexual activity. For many women, prescription options can be game changers. Topical estrogen therapy, applied directly to vaginal tissues, is highly effective and has minimal systemic absorption, meaning it's much safer than oral hormone therapy for most women. There are creams, tablets, and rings available. The key is working with a healthcare provider who understands that sexual health and comfort are important quality of life issues, not vanity concerns. But let's also talk about some natural approaches that can help support your body's own moisture production. Phytoestrogens, found in foods like soy, flax seeds, and red clover, can provide mild estrogenic effects. While they're not as potent as prescription hormones, many women find them helpful. Sea buckthorn oil, taken orally or applied topically, has shown promise in studies for supporting vaginal health and moisture. For skin dryness, the key is understanding that your skin's needs have changed and your skincare routine needs to change with them. Your skin is producing less oil naturally, so you need to supplement that. Look for products with hyaluronic acid, which can hold up to 1,000 times its weight in water. Ceramides help repair and strengthen your skin barrier. And don't underestimate the power of a good facial oil. Jojoba, argan, or rosehip oil can make a tremendous difference. One thing that surprised me in my research is how much hydration from the inside affects hydration on the outside. Most of us don't drink nearly enough water, and as we age, our bodies become less efficient at retaining the water we do consume. Aim for at least half your body weight in ounces of water per day, and consider adding a pinch of high-quality sea salt or electrolyte powder to help your cells actually absorb and utilize that water. For dry eyes, which affects about 60% of women over 50, omega-3 fatty acids can be incredibly helpful. The anti-inflammatory properties of high-quality fish oil or algae-based omega-3 south can improve tear production and quality. Warm compresses and lid hygiene can also help if you're dealing with meibomian gland dysfunction, which is common as we age. Hair dryness often improves with scalp massage to stimulate circulation, deep conditioning treatments, and being gentler with styling practices. Heat styling, chemical treatments, and tight hairstyles can exacerbate dryness in already vulnerable hair. Consider switching to silk or satin pillowcases to reduce friction while you sleep. But here's something crucial that many women don't realize. Physical dryness can be both a cause and a symptom of feeling disconnected from your body. When your body feels uncomfortable, when intimacy becomes painful, when you don't recognize your skin or hair in the mirror, it's natural to start disconnecting from your physical self as a protective mechanism. This is why addressing the physical symptoms isn't just about comfort. It's about maintaining your relationship with your own body. I want to share a story from my own experience. About 2 years into perimenopause, I remember looking in the mirror one morning and feeling like I was looking at a stranger. My skin looked dull and felt like parchment paper. My hair was flat and lifeless. I felt like I was disappearing physically, becoming less vibrant, less present. It was heartbreaking. But when I started addressing these issues systematically, working with a knowledgeable healthcare provider, upgrading my skincare routine, paying attention to nutrition and hydration, I started to feel like myself again, not the same as I was at 30, but vibrantly, confidently myself at 50. The key insight here is that taking care of your physical symptoms isn't vanity, it's self-care in the deepest sense. When your body feels good, when you're comfortable in your skin, when intimacy is pleasurable again, it affects every other area of your life. You show up differently in your relationships, in your work, in your community. You feel more confident, more present, more connected to yourself and others. The emotional and psychological dimension, feeling disconnected. Now let's dive into the emotional and psychological aspects of what you might be experiencing. This is where things get complex, because the feelings of disconnection, emptiness, and loss that many women experience during this time aren't just about hormones, though hormones certainly play a role. They're about identity, purpose, relationships, and what it means to be a woman in a culture that doesn't always value the wisdom and experience that come with age. Let me start with the hormonal piece, because understanding this can help you. Have compassion for yourself if you've been feeling emotionally volatile or disconnected. Estrogen and progesterone don't just affect your reproductive system. They're neurohormones that significantly impact your brain function, mood regulation, and emotional well-being. Estrogen, in particular, helps regulate serotonin, which is often called the feel-good neurotransmitter. When estrogen drops, serotonin can drop too, leading to feelings of sadness, anxiety, irritability, and that flat, disconnected feeling that so many women describe. Progesterone has a calming, anti-anxiety effect, and when it declines, you might find yourself feeling more anxious, having trouble sleeping, or feeling emotionally reactive in ways that aren't typical for you. Testosterone, which women also produce in smaller amounts, affects motivation, energy, and that sense of drive and purpose. When all of these hormones are fluctuating or declining, it's like trying to drive a car when the engine isn't running smoothly. Everything feels harder than it should. But here's what I want you to understand. Even though hormones are playing a role in how you're feeling, your emotions are valid. You're not just hormonal. You're not overreacting. You're responding to real changes in your body and your life, and those responses make complete sense. Let's talk about the identity piece, because this is huge and often overlooked. For many women, our identities have been closely tied to our roles as mothers, caregivers, and nurturers. When children leave home, when aging parents pass away, when our reproductive years end, we can feel like we're losing not just our roles, but ourselves. Who are you when you're not primarily defined by taking care of others? It's a profound question, and one that our culture doesn't prepare us to answer. I remember the day my youngest daughter left for college. I had been a hands-on mother for 25 years, and suddenly my primary job was gone. I felt proud of her and excited for her future, but I also felt completely lost. I had spent so much time and energy nurturing others that I had forgotten how to nurture myself, how to identify my own needs and desires separate from everyone else's. This is incredibly common, and if you're experiencing it, you're not alone. There's also what psychologists call empty nest syndrome, but I think that term minimizes what's really happening. It's not just that the nest is empty, it's that your entire sense of purpose and daily structure has changed. The skills that made you an excellent mother or caregiver don't just disappear, but they might not have obvious outlets anymore. This can lead to feelings of uselessness, of being disconnected from your sense of purpose and meaning. Another major factor in feeling disconnected is what happens to our relationships during this time. Marriages and long-term partnerships often face challenges during midlife. You and your partner have both been changing and growing, often in different directions. Communication patterns that worked when you were focused on raising children or building careers might not work anymore. Physical intimacy might be more challenging due to hormonal changes. You might find yourselves feeling like strangers living in the same house. Friendships can shift too. Some friends might be going through similar experiences and can offer support and understanding. Others might be in different life stages or might not want to acknowledge that they're aging. Social circles can change as work situations change, as children's activities no longer provide natural gathering points, as geographic moves happen. It's common to feel socially isolated or like you don't quite fit anywhere anymore. Let me share some research that might help normalize what you're experiencing. Studies show that women in midlife report higher rates of depression and anxiety than at any other time in their adult lives. But here's the encouraging part. These rates tend to improve significantly in the years following menopause. This suggests that much of what you're experiencing now is transitional. It's difficult, it's real, but it's not permanent. Dr. Christiane Northrup, in her research on women's midlife experiences, talks about this period as a spiritual emergence rather than just a medical condition. She suggests that the emotional intensity and questioning that many women experience during this time is actually a call to become more authentically themselves, to shed the roles and expectations that no longer serve them, and to step into a new phase of life with greater wisdom and self-awareness. So what can you do about the emotional and psychological disconnection? First, recognize that this is a normal part of a major life transition. You're not failing, you're not weak, and you don't need to just push through and pretend everything is fine. Give yourself permission to grieve what you're losing: your younger body, your fertile years, certain roles and relationships, dreams that may no longer be possible. Grief is a natural and necessary part of any major transition. Second, consider this an opportunity for rediscovery. When was the last time you asked yourself what you actually want, separate from what everyone else needs from you? What brings you joy? What makes you feel curious and engaged? What dreams did you put on hold that might be worth revisiting? This might feel selfish if you've spent decades prioritizing others, but it's not selfish. It's necessary for your mental health and for your ability to show up fully in your relationships. Third, be intentional about nurturing your relationships. If your marriage or partnership is struggling, consider couples counseling with someone who understands midlife transitions. Don't assume that growing apart is inevitable. With effort and good support, many couples find that this period can actually deepen their connection. For friendships, be proactive about reaching out, planning activities, and being honest about what you're going through. You might be surprised how many other women are experiencing similar things, and will be grateful that you opened up the conversation. Fourth, consider working with a therapist who specializes in women's midlife transitions. This isn't about being broken or needing to be fixed. It's about having support as you navigate one of the most significant transitions of your life. A good therapist can help you process grief, explore identity questions, improve communication skills, and develop coping strategies for managing anxiety and depression. Fifth, pay attention to your physical health because it directly impacts your emotional well-being. Regular exercise, adequate sleep, good nutrition, and stress management aren't just good for your body, they're essential for your mental health. The endorphins from exercise can help counteract some of the mood effects of declining hormones. Quality sleep helps regulate emotions and improve resilience. Proper nutrition supports neurotransmitter production. I also want to talk about the power of meaning-making during this time. Viktor Frankl, the psychologist and Holocaust survivor, wrote about how humans can endure almost anything if they can find meaning in their experience. The midlife transition, as difficult as it can be, offers an opportunity to develop a deeper sense of meaning and purpose. Maybe that's through volunteering, creative pursuits, mentoring younger people, starting a new career, or simply being more present and intentional in your daily life. One practice that has been transformative for me, and many women I know, is regular self-reflection and journaling. Spend time asking yourself questions like, what am I learning about myself during this transition? What strengths am I discovering that I didn't know I had? What matters most to me now? And how can I align my life more closely with those values? What legacy do I want to create in the next phase of my life? Finally, remember that disconnection often happens gradually, and reconnection usually happens gradually too. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate small steps. If you feel 10% more like yourself today than you did last month, that's progress worth acknowledging. The goal isn't to go back to who you were before. It's to become who you're meant to be. Now, with all the wisdom, experience, and depth that you've gained, the social dimension, feeling unseen. Now let's address perhaps the most painful aspect of what many women experience during this time, feeling invisible and unseen in the world. This isn't just in your head, and it's not just about individual psychology. There are real social and cultural forces at play that contribute to women feeling less valued, less visible, and less important as they age. Let's start with the elephant in the room: ageism. Particularly as it affects women. We live in a culture that prizes youth, and this affects women disproportionately. While men are often seen as becoming more distinguished, authoritative, and attractive as they age, Women are more likely to be seen as past their prime, less relevant, less sexually attractive, and less valuable in both professional and personal contexts. This shows up everywhere once you start paying attention to it. In the workplace, older women are more likely to face discrimination in hiring, promotion, and salary decisions. They're more likely to be interrupted in meetings, have their ideas dismissed or attributed to others, and be passed over for high-visit projects. In the media, women over 50 are dramatically underrepresented, and when they are represented, it's often in stereotypical roles as grandmothers, comic relief, or cautionary tales about aging. Even in healthcare, older women's concerns are more likely to be dismissed as normal aging or attributed to hormones in ways that minimize their real symptoms and needs. How many times have you been told that fatigue, pain, or emotional distress is just part of getting older, or just hormones without receiving adequate investigation or treatment? In social situations, you might notice that you're talked over more frequently, that your opinions carry less weight, that you're consulted less often on decisions, or that you're simply not seen as interesting or relevant by younger people. This can be particularly painful if you're used to being someone who was listened to, whose opinions were valued, who was seen as attractive and engaging. The dating world, if you're single, can be especially brutal for women over 50. Dating apps and social norms tend to favor younger women, and older women often report feeling like they've become completely invisible to potential partners. Even in established relationships, the physical changes of aging can make women feel less desirable or attractive to their partners. But here's what I want you to understand. The problem isn't with you. The problem is with a culture that has incredibly narrow definitions of value, beauty, and relevance. You haven't become less valuable, less wise, less interesting, or less worthy of love and respect because you've gotten older. Society's perception of your value has been distorted by ageist and sexist attitudes that don't reflect reality. Research actually shows that women in their 50s, 60s, and beyond are often at their peak in terms of confidence, self-knowledge, emotional intelligence, and life satisfaction. Studies of successful leaders show that many women don't hit their professional stride until their 40s and 50s. Creative output often peaks in midlife and beyond. The idea that women become less valuable after menopause is not only false but deeply harmful. So, how do you combat this feeling of being unseen and reclaim your visibility and value in the world? First, you need to work on seeing and valuing yourself. This might sound simplistic, but if you've internalized ageist messages about your worth, you need to actively challenge those beliefs. Start paying attention to your internal dialogue. When you catch yourself thinking things like, "I'm too old for this," or "nobody wants to hear from someone my age," challenge those thoughts. Ask yourself, is this actually true? Or is this an ageist belief I've absorbed from the culture? Develop a practice of celebrating your accomplishments, your wisdom, your experience. Make a list of everything you've learned, overcome, and achieved. Make a list of the ways you've grown and evolved as a person. Make a list of the unique perspectives and insights you have because of your life experience. This isn't about being arrogant, it's about recognizing your actual value in a world that may not reflect it back to you consistently. Second, be intentional about surrounding yourself with people who see and value you. This might mean cultivating friendships with other women who are going through similar experiences and who can offer mutual support and validation. It might mean finding communities, whether online or in person, where age and experience are valued rather than dismissed. It might mean working with professionals, doctors, therapists, trainers, stylists, who treat you with respect and take your concerns seriously. Third, consider how you present yourself to the world. I'm not talking about trying to look younger or conforming to youth-obsessed beauty standards. I'm talking about showing up as the confident, vibrant, engaged person you are. How you dress, how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you engage with others, all of these things communicate your sense of your own value. When you show up with confidence and presence, people are more likely to see and respond to you positively. One area where many women struggle is with their appearance and how to navigate aging in a youth-obsessed culture. Here's my perspective. You don't owe anyone youthfulness. You don't have to dye your gray hair if you don't want to. You don't have to have cosmetic procedures if they don't align with your values. You don't have to dress like a younger person to be valid and valuable. But if any of these things make you feel more confident and authentic to yourself, that's valid too. The key is making choices that feel right for you, not choices based on what you think others expect or want from you. Fourth, be proactive about creating visibility for yourself. Don't wait for others to recognize your value. Demonstrate it. Volunteer for projects at work that showcase your skills and experience. Speak up in meetings and social situations. Share your opinions and insights. Start a blog, a podcast, a social media account where you share your perspectives and experiences. Join boards or committees where your voice and expertise can make a difference. The goal isn't to be pushy or attention-seeking. It's to refuse to be invisible. Fifth, mentor and support other women, particularly younger women who can benefit from your experience, and older women who might be struggling with similar feelings of invisibility. There's something powerful about creating networks of mutual support and visibility. When women support other women across age groups, everyone benefits. I want to share a story that illustrates this beautifully. A friend of mine, Janet, who's 58, started feeling completely invisible in her corporate job. She was being passed over for projects, excluded from important meetings, and generally treated like she was winding down toward retirement when she actually felt like she was at the top of her game professionally. Instead of accepting this treatment, she started documenting her contributions, speaking up more assertively in meetings, and networking more intentionally both within and outside her company. She also started mentoring younger women and connecting with other experienced women in her field. Within 6 months, her visibility and influence had dramatically increased. She ended up being recruited for a senior position at another company that valued her experience and expertise. More importantly, she had learned how to advocate for herself and create her own visibility, rather than depending on others to recognize her value. Here's another important aspect of feeling seen: the need for authentic representation and community. One reason many women feel invisible during this life stage is that there aren't enough visible, positive role models of women thriving in their 50s, 60s, and beyond. The women we see in media, advertising, and public life are disproportionately young. And when older women are represented, it's often in limited, stereotypical ways. This is why it's so important to seek out books, movies, podcasts, and social media accounts that feature women your age who are living full, interesting, engaged lives. Follow women on Instagram who are rocking their gray hair, starting new businesses, traveling solo, finding love after 50, pursuing creative projects, or simply living their lives with joy and authenticity. Read memoirs by women who have navigated this transition successfully. Listen to podcasts that address midlife issues with honesty and hope rather than just focusing on problems. Consider becoming part of the representation you want to see. Share your own story, whether that's through social media, writing, speaking, or simply being more open in your daily interactions about the realities and joys of this life stage. Every time you show up authentically as a vibrant, engaged woman over 50, you're helping to change the narrative for all women. Finally, remember that feeling seen isn't just about others seeing you. It's about you seeing yourself clearly and compassionately. It's about recognizing your own worth, your own beauty, your own relevance, and your own power. When you truly see and value yourself, that confidence and self-assurance naturally draws others to see and value you too. You teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. Now that we've explored all 3 dimensions of what you might be experiencing, let's create a comprehensive action plan that you can start implementing today. I'm going to break this down into immediate actions you can take this week, medium-term goals for the next 3 months, and longer-term strategies for creating lasting change. Immediate actions this week. First, schedule a comprehensive physical with a healthcare provider who specializes in women's midlife health. Come prepared with a list of all your symptoms, both physical and emotional. Don't let anyone dismiss your concerns as just part of aging. If your current provider isn't taking you seriously, find one who will. Second, start a daily hydration practice. Calculate half your body weight in ounces and commit to drinking that much water every day. Add electrolytes if needed to help with absorption. Third, upgrade your skincare routine with products designed for mature skin. Look for hyaluronic acid, ceramides, and peptides. Don't forget a high-quality moisturizer and broad-spectrum sunscreen. Fourth, begin a simple journaling practice. Spend 10 minutes each morning writing about how you're feeling, what you're thinking, about what you're grateful for, and what you want to focus on that day. This helps with self-awareness and emotional processing. 5th, reach out to one person this week, whether it's a friend, family member, or potential new connection. Don't wait for others to reach out to you. Be proactive about nurturing your relationships. Medium-term goals next 3 months. First, address any hormone-related symptoms that are affecting your quality of life. This might mean exploring hormone replacement therapy, bioidentical hormones, or natural approaches like adaptogens and phytoestrogens. Work with a knowledgeable healthcare provider to find what works for you. Second, establish a consistent exercise routine that includes both cardiovascular exercise and strength training. Aim for at least 150 minutes of moderate exercise per week. This is crucial for bone health, muscle mass, mood regulation, and energy levels. Third, audit your relationships. Which relationships energize you and make you feel seen and valued? Which ones drain you or make you feel invisible? Be intentional about investing more time and energy in the relationships that serve you well. And consider setting boundaries with or distancing yourself from relationships that consistently make you feel bad about yourself. Fourth, explore new interests or revisit old ones. Take a class, join a group, start a creative project, volunteer for a cause you care about. The goal is to expand your sense of identity beyond the roles that may be changing, and to connect with activities that bring you joy and fulfillment. Fifth, work on your living environment. Create spaces in your home that feel nurturing, beautiful, and authentically you. This might mean redecorating, decluttering, adding plants, creating a reading nook, or setting up a space for creative activities. Long-term strategies next 2 months. First, develop a comprehensive approach to your health that includes not just treating symptoms but optimizing your overall well-being. This might include working with an integrative medicine practitioner, a functional medicine doctor, or building a team of specialists who understand the complexity of women's midlife health needs. Second, if you're in a relationship, invest in strengthening and evolving that relationship to meet your changing needs. This might mean couples counseling, taking workshops together, planning new adventures, or simply having honest conversations about how you're both changing and what you need from each other now. Third, consider whether your living situation, work situation, or daily routines still serve you. This is often a time when major life changes become appealing or necessary. You might want to downsize your home, change careers, move to a new location, or restructure your daily life in ways that better align with your current values and energy levels. Fourth, build or strengthen your support network. This might mean joining women's groups, online communities, professional organizations, or hobby groups where you can connect with others who share your interests and experiences. The goal is to have multiple sources of connection and support, rather than relying on just 1 or 2 relationships to meet all your social needs. Fifth, develop a vision for the next phase of your life. What do you want the next 10, 20, or 30 years to look like? What legacy do you want to create? What contributions do you want to make? What experiences do you want to have? Having a clear vision gives you something to work toward and helps combat feelings of aimlessness or being stuck. Daily practices for ongoing support. Start each day with 5 minutes of mindfulness, meditation, or simple breathing exercises. This helps regulate your nervous system and sets a calm, intentional tone for the day. Move your body every day, even if it's just a 10-minute walk. Physical movement helps with mood, energy, sleep, and overall health. Connect with at least one person every day, whether it's a text, phone call, email, or in-person interaction. Human connection is essential for mental health and combating feelings of isolation. Do something that brings you pleasure every day, even if it's small. This might be listening to music, reading, taking a bath, working in the garden, or calling a friend. The goal is to prioritize your own joy and fulfillment, not just productivity and responsibility. Practice gratitude by identifying 3 things you're grateful for each day. This helps shift your focus from what's lacking or difficult to what's positive and abundant in your life. Remember, this is not about perfection. It's about progress, self-compassion, and gradually creating a life that feels more aligned with who you are becoming. Some days will be better than others, and that's completely normal and expected. As we wrap up our time together today, I want you to know that everything you're experiencing, the physical changes, the emotional complexity, the feeling of being unseen, is valid, normal, and temporary. This is a transition, not a destination. You are not becoming less valuable, less interesting, or less worthy of love and respect as you age. You are evolving into a wiser, more authentic version of yourself. The most important thing you can do right now is to start somewhere. Pick one thing from our action plan that resonates with you and commit to doing it this week. Maybe it's scheduling that doctor's appointment you've been putting off. Maybe it's starting that journal. Maybe it's reaching out to an old friend. Maybe it's simply looking in the mirror and speaking to yourself with the same kindness you would show a dear friend. I want you to remember that you are not alone in this experience. Millions of women are going through similar transitions, and while it can feel isolating, there is a whole community of women who understand what you're experiencing and who are cheering you on. If this video has been helpful to you, please share it with other women who might benefit from hearing this message. Like and subscribe if you want more content about thriving during life transitions, and most importantly, leave a comment below telling me which part of this conversation resonated most with you, or what step you're going to take first. I read every comment, and your sharing helps other women feel less alone. You are valuable, you are worthy, you are seen, and your best years may very well be ahead of you. Thank you for spending this time with me today, and remember, you've got this.